Good evening, and welcome to Tales from the Darkness. I saw a demon reflected on the TV when I was 12, by Anonymous. In hindsight, this was a split-second experience in real time, but it felt like it was going on in slow motion. In my mother's house, when my sister used to live with my mom and I before she got married, we had a huge television, maybe a little over 55 inches, and it was a big box-like television with a projector inside of it. We had that television in a room by itself, with a single leather couch and white walls that had my sister's rebellious scribbles all over it. My sister had just bought The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess for GameCube, maybe a week or so after it had first come out, and she never let me play it until she finished it. So one night, I took it upon myself to play it at 1 a.m. It is very important to note that the walls are white, and I had not seen any scary videos that would influence my thinking, nor did I have a sense of the time that it was because I was too excited to play the game. I turned the game on. The TV was big enough to show my entire body if I stood far enough. Fast forward maybe an hour or two, I found a small side quest that was really fun to play but hard to complete. After about 10 tries, I started to get very frustrated. At a certain point, I broke. I stood up and punched the sofa next to me. And it was there, in the break between the shift of scenes of the video game. It was a split second, but I remember it clearly. It stood just a few inches taller than me. It had a sticky-looking, hairless gray body, and in place of its arms were what looked like the long pinchers of a praying mantis. It had no eyes, just gray skin around its head, and its feet were like the claws of a werewolf. The main light was on, so I could see it even more clearly as it stood right next to me and bared its teeth at me. I had never before seen a creature like it, and in the moment it took me to get scared, it hissed at me. And when the screen came back, it disappeared. I didn't feel anything. No cold air, no whooshing sounds, not even a footstep, just a loud hiss, and then nothing. I felt nothing but fear, and the hairs at the back of my neck stood up. In the moments after, I remembered something my mother told me. If you have negative energy, you will attract negative things. And from that day forward, I truly believed in the impact of energy. Now I am in my second year of college, and I pray every day for the protection of my mother, since she is now alone in the house of 5 rooms and that thing. I never told her about it either. I never told anyone. I don't know how she sleeps at night. Creepy Stuff Because I Wanted $50 by Optimus Zombie. Alright. This is the one and only time I've ever sold something on Facebook Marketplace. I probably will sell something again in the future because I don't learn. Anyways, I had this men's mountain bike I no longer needed since I planned on buying a new, less bulky bicycle. Sure, nothing was wrong with the bike I had, and that's exactly what I said in the listing. I rode it a good bit, but took very good care of it. I treated it like a child. Once I put the listing up, my inbox started flooding right away with people asking about its availability. It wasn't surprising how many of the cash offers were as low as $10. I listed the bike at $100, expecting some low bids, but I only wanted half. Eventually, after 2 days of "is this available?", I received one that seemed off from the start. "Hey there, friend," was how he started the conversation. Didn't know I was friends with this man, but anyways. It was a middle-aged man, I want to say around 40 to 50. He had 203 friends, so I knew he didn't just create his account. He would send a photo of himself, smiling after every message. A little weird, but I didn't want to think too much of it, as he was offering $65 in cash, and would pick it up by that Saturday morning. The man eventually said, "I'm no good with technology. Can we talk through call?" I was reluctant, but did not want to lose the business, so I called the number he had sent, He sounded quite nice, very literate and poised. He also owned a dog since I could hear it barking. "It's a beagle," he said. I felt comfortable with this man, and the whole exchange was set in stone. Note that it was a Tuesday when he first contacted me. Over the next 3 days, this man would message me 20 to 30 times a day, saying things along the lines of, "I can't wait to see this bicycle," or "Please tell me you haven't sold it yet," or "We're still on for Saturday." And it got annoying because he'd send pictures of himself doing regular tasks like making breakfast, walking his dog, or pulling weeds. It was as if he were lonely and I was his first friend. I honor the whole king of the hill rule of selling something, and a higher offer came in from someone local who wanted it for their son to go to school. They offered $80 and picked it up that Friday. I felt bad selling the bike to someone else. I notified the man that I had sold the bike to someone for a larger amount. I did not want to leave him hanging. He responded relatively quickly, about a minute or so, saying, "Oh, it's no problem at all." That was that. At least, I had thought so. Come Saturday, I'm home alone because my parents decide to take a couple's vacation to some dinky town in Pennsylvania, giving me a free weekend in the house. I don't have siblings, and I don't have pets, so I'm used to the silence. Call me weird, but I used that Saturday to complete a great deal of yard work. It's still late winter, so it gets dark out by 5 p.m. I was getting ready to take a nice hot shower when a notification on my phone pops up. I have this surveillance doorbell called Ring that has a motion camera and an accompanying app. It read, "There's someone at your front door," with a bell emoji to show that the doorbell has been pressed. I open the app and look through the camera to see a man standing on the porch. I had a double-take moment as I realized it was the man from Facebook who wanted my bike, and I knew I told him I sold it already. He began knocking, and I heard barking too, so I knew he brought his dog. I'm able to speak through the app, so I did. "Hey, sorry, don't you remember that I sold the bike already?" His reaction was delayed, as he then looked embarrassed and said, "Oh, my bad, I forgot," and walked off to his pickup parked at the curb. I was a little scared, so I waited to hear the engine start, but I didn't. I put my clothes back on and headed out front, only his pickup truck had pulled away and was nowhere to be seen. Relief washed over me. But then the garage floodlight behind my house turned on. There are a lot of trees since my neighborhood is historic, so all sound is easily heard. I could hear footsteps on my back deck. In a great panic, I closed the door, locked it, and grabbed a kitchen knife. Whoever was back there was pounding on the glass sliding door, which thankfully had a curtain. I yelled, "I'm calling the police! You are trespassing!" Then he responded, that same man from earlier, "I just want to talk. I brought a few movies as well. Come on, friend." This was weird as hell, and I grew a pair and opened the curtain to see the man standing there. He had a tool bag in hand, and from the looks of it, I doubt there were movies in there. Good thing for me, I know a state trooper who lives on the edge of the neighborhood. I gave him a quick call and he showed up within 4 minutes. There wasn't much of a fight, as he complied with the orders of the trooper, and I didn't want to press charges because I kind of felt bad for the man. When they searched the tool bag, they found varying instruments that would be suspicious in any given situation, such as knives, rope, and a tarp. I just wanted him off my property and out of sight. Eventually, I did get the opportunity to get a restraining order, and I did. I found out later that the man had been admitted to a psychiatric ward where he's being treated for unknown mental deficiencies. I'm glad this ordeal is behind me. I still can't understand something that happened to me. By Tinojio Kuna. When I was 12 years old, I used to live in a big house with my parents, my brother, and my grandparents. One day, I was home with my grandfather. Everyone left for a party, but I didn't want to go with them. I don't really remember the reason now. So my grandpa offered to stay with me at home. After having dinner, the other people left, and I went to bed. just like Grandpa. I went to my bedroom to sleep. After 10 or 15 minutes, I fell asleep, but I was woken up in the middle of the night for no reason. I got up and went to the bathroom, and then I went back to the bedroom. I sat down on my bed, thinking about something, when I hear something knocking on my window. I turn around just to see something white knocking on the window. I was staring at it, but I couldn't move because I was too scared. When I was finally able to move, I got up slowly and kept walking backwards to my bedroom door. I got out of the bedroom and called my grandfather to see what I saw knocking on my window. My grandfather came with me and went to my bedroom while I stayed outside. My grandfather had started to go in when suddenly he looks at me and tells me, "Go find a knife." I asked why, but he said, "Just go." I ran to the kitchen, and I picked up a knife that we had left there after dinner. I gave him the knife, and he stares at me for a moment. We stayed there for like 2 minutes, staring at each other, and the knocking didn't stop. Actually, it kept getting stronger. I hugged my grandpa as hard as I could. I didn't want to stay outside the bedroom alone, so I grabbed his hand and we went inside. The thing that was once knocking on the window was on my bed, just there, and the knocking had stopped. My grandpa went to grab it, and when he did, we found out it was just a piece of white clothing. We were still scared of the knocking because we hadn't found the source of it. But it stopped, and we never heard it again. We never told anybody what happened. A few months later, my mom decides to go live in that house again, but I didn't want to, and neither did my grandpa, so I stayed with my grandparents in another house, while my parents and brother moved into that house again. A few days after moving, my mom calls me saying that she found pieces of white clothes everywhere. My bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, everywhere. They cleaned up the house to get rid of those things, and my mom lived there for almost a year, calling us almost every month telling us, again, that she found pieces of white clothing in my bedroom, on my bed. It's not really scary while reading, but I still think about it, and it gives me the creeps. And I actually never understood the source of the white clothing on my bed. I don't even like white clothing. I was 12 at the time. I'm 23 now, and I still don't understand. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comments below. You can submit your stories to storiesofdarkness55@gmail.com. Pleasant dreams.